This is a paid program. JJ Publicidad, EMR, and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest.
Hola mga kababayan, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. This is Ria Luz of Buhay sa Amerika. And today we are live at Entre Mujeres Radio at meron tayong very special guest. Kung hindi ang atin pong kapitapitagan at iginagalang na Honorable Consul General Edgar Badajos, all the way from Los Angeles, via Zoom. At kasama ko rito sa aking harapan ang aking dalawang co-host at meron pa akong isang co-host na nasa Zoom din. Pero ipakikilala ko sa inyo ang aking napakagandang co-host, Miss Sharon Jane Baysan, ang CEO of Baysan Productions, and also one of our founding Buhay sa Amerika Committee, Sharon Jane Baysan.
Thank you so much. Good morning po sa lahat ng mga tagapakinig natin ngayong umaga, lalo na sa mga followers ng Buhay sa Amerika. Thank you so much for having me, Ria. Grabe, ang ganda ng new studio
Lago
natin, ha?
Yes. So, we'll hear more from Sharon Jane Baysan in a few. And now, another very handsome co-host, ang Prince Edward Lago, who is a Senior Business Banking Relationship Manager of Wells Fargo, and he is the President of the Philippine-American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona. And also, Edward, advance happy birthday sa'yo.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. Thank you for having us with Sharon and Ethel, and so excited to have our Consul General Edgar Badajos join the show. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much. And last but not the least of our co-host today, and napakaganda, all the way from Rocky Point. Kaya she's joining us via Zoom. No other than Ate Ethel Luzario-Smith. She is our Global Women's Peace Network HerStory Awardee of 2020, a 3,000 Club Market on the Move CEO as well. And she is also the West USA Realty Realtor for more than 30 years in the Valley, and a strong leader of the Phoenix Asian American Lions Club here in Arizona. Welcome, Ate Ethel!
Sa inyong lahat, bumabati po ako from the beautiful part of Mexico, Rocky Point. Andito po kami para tumingin ng mga future projects for the Lions. And huwag niyo pong kalimutan mag-subscribe sa Buhay sa Amerika via Facebook. So maraming salamat po sa pag-join niyo sa amin, and welcome to everybody.
All right, thank you so much, Ate Ethel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's our turn to introduce to you the man who does not need further introduction, actually. Ang ating Honorable Consul General, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Our Consul General Edgar Badajos assumed his post as Consul General of the Philippines Consulate Consulate General in Los Angeles in April 2021. And he first joined the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs in 1997, and he has held various positions of responsibility, including most recently the Director of the Political and Security Division of the Office of Asian Affairs. In that role, he played a significant role in negotiations related to the Code of Conduct of Parties in the South China Seas during the Philippines' chairmanship of ASEAN in 2017. And immediately prior to his posting to Los Angeles, Consul General Badajos served as Consul General at the Philippine Consulate General in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and his previous assignment include the Philippine Consulate General in Toronto and in New York, and Philippine Embassy in Bangkok, Thailand. And Consul General Badajos is a graduate of the UP College of Law and also holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Philippines in Baguio. Good morning, Consul General Edgar B. Badajos.
Good morning, Rhea. Good morning sa iyong mga tagapakinig at good morning din sa iyong mga co-hosts. Nandiyan si Sharon, si Prince Edward, at si Ethel. Good morning sa inyong lahat, and I'm really honored to be with you today. Good morning.
We are so honored to have you po, Consul Congen, kasi po napakahirap ninyong maabot, pero dahil po sa tulong ng inyong mga staff at inyo rin pong anyaya ay binigyan nyo kami ng pagkakataon na ma-interview kayo.
Yes.
By the way po, Consul Jenny, magbigay lang ako po ng shout-out kay Miss Mary Grace Lianio, ang inyo pong napaka-efficient and outstanding staff na naging katulong namin na makuha kayo sa pagkakataong ito.
Right. Thank you.
So, Sharon and Miss Sharon Jane and my co-host, Prince Edward and Ate Ethel, all the way from Rocky Point, will be asking you the question, and I'll be facilitating this question and answer portion po. And also those audience will have the chance to also ask the question. Nagpaalam po tayo sa Consul Gen at sabi niya, pwede kayong magtanong. Kaya, heto na ang inyong pagkakataon. So, Sharon, meron ka bang first question para sa ating Congen?
Yes, thank you so much po once again for being here with us.
Close.
Actually, we have a question here from, our first question actually is, what is your childhood dream job? As we all know, si Rhea, ito ang dream job niya, no? And she was able to make that
Achieve
wish
it.
come true.
Yeah.
So that's
when
very nice.
I was a kid. Yeah. Thank you very much for the question, Sharon. And when I was younger, I wanted to become an architect.
Wow.
Kasi mahilig akong mag-drawing nung bata ako. I used to, spend a lot of time making sketches of houses, of structures. But it doesn't really happen often that your childhood dream also becomes what you are when you grow up. So in my case, although I wanted to be an architect, I eventually became a diplomat na ibang landas.
Napakaganda po ng inyong natahak na landas, Congen.
Right? Oo nga.
Pwede pa rin naman po kayong mag-drawing. At
In the sense that although I did not become an architect in the true sense of the word, I'm still part of the architecture of Philippine foreign policy.
Wow,
Yeah.
wonderful.
At least nag-pave way din po kayo, naging architect kayo for the Filipinos to follow.
Yes.
Yes.
Leading the way.
So
True.
how about Prince Edward? Meron ka bang tanong para sa ating
Yes,
consul?
actually, I do have a question
Can you
para
get
kay
closer to the
Congen.
mic?
So, as you know, Congen, a lot are affected with the pandemic. And so, what are your plans or initiatives toward the recovery of the tourism sector in the Philippines in the coming months? Ano bang pwedeng mga plans or initiatives na pwedeng magawa?
Okay, magandang tanong yan, Prince Edward. But just like what I mentioned when I was in Arizona, nung kami ay pumisita dyan, kasama ko si Eric, yung ating Trade Commissioner. the prospect for the Philippine economy towards the end of 2021 is very good. Our economic managers are predicting that we will eventually recover from the ill effects of the pandemic. And in anticipation of this recovery, we are already planning a lot towards helping Philippine tourism. I'm in close touch with the Trade Commissioner, si Eric Elnar, and we've been talking to so many groups already, planning to make a visit to the Philippines. Kung hindi mangyayari yung ating tinatawag na Ambassadors and Consuls General Tour this year or sometime next year, itong si Eric tsaka si Richmond, our tourism attaché, meron silang mga binabalak na mga pocket tourism packages. Yung mga niche markets in the Philippines, like niche tourism markets like scuba, diving, mountain climbing, golfing, yung mga areas na yan, these are really very attractive to so many PhilAms and even foreigners. So we are planning to undertake a lot of activities towards this end.
Wow, marami talagang proyekto ang ating Congen.
And I think I could make a follow-up kasi magandang mga plans po yan, Congen. How can we, the Filipino-American community here, na makatulong and help bringing those mga projects or mga goals or initiatives that you guys are trying to do?
Okay, thank you ulit, Edward. I keep telling Filipinos that I always meet with that although we are the officially appointed Philippine government representatives to the places where we are assigned, actually kayo din, mga Filipino-Americans and Filipinos in America, you are actually our roving ambassadors also of Philippine culture and tourism. So if you're asking me how you can help, you can actually talk about the beauty of the Philippines. Whenever you talk to the mainstream society of America, you talk to them how beautiful Bohol is, how beautiful Cebu is, and how safe the country is. Because, sometimes perception kills enthusiasm. Yung perception nila na medyo delikadong pumunta sa Pilipinas, huwag kang pumunta doon kasi maraming mga krimen, you talk to them about how safe it is in the Philippines. You talk to them about the beauty of so many places in the Philippines. You promote Philippine tourism in your own way. Huwag yung you just depend on the Philippine Consulate or the Philippine Tourism Office or the Philippine Trade Office to do the promotion. Kayo din, you have a big role to play. So what I would like you to do is to be with us, be our partners in promoting our country. In our case, we are talking to so many groups for them, when the Philippine economy opens up again, for them to visit our country because that would be the best time to really be in the country, especially those with economic interests.
Yes.
Kasi maganda yung ating projection eh.
Tama po, Congen.
Yes,
So, ito po sa Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika, kung napansin niyo po, kami mga nakapangkultura. So,
Yan, oo.
sana po...
Saan nyo nakikita yung ating kultura eh? Don't say na, hindi, ako PhilAm na, ako ay nagtatrabaho dito sa isang hospice o sa isang hospital dito. So I don't have anything to do with promoting Philippine tourism. That's wrong. You have everything to do with Philippine tourism, with promoting Philippine tourism, because each day that you go out of your house, you're actually carrying with you Filipino culture.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So
I agree.
we are asking each and every one of our fellow Filipinos and Filipino Americans in Arizona, in all parts of America, to be in your best behavior because you are representing, first and foremost, the Philippines. Everything that's nice about Filipino culture.
That's true.
Thank you po,
Right.
Congen. Yan ay
Nicely
talagang
said.
Yeah, talagang parang tatay si Congen eh. Kaya nga yung ating last meeting with the Congen, thank you Ate Ethel Luzario for inviting me in that dinner. At dahil doon na-feel namin talaga Congen na para kaming nakipag-dine with our tatay. So Ate Ethel, I'm sure na meron kang tanong na gustong itanong sa Congen.
Okay, so follow up lang po dun sa tourism, no? Na-mention ho rin namin na we as Lions are doing humanitarian missions sa Philippines. So I was just kind of thinking in relating to that, kung pwedeng i-combine yung humanitarian mission and then tourism at the same time. So hindi kami mag-identify kung saan kami pupunta, pero we will leave it up to somebody in the Philippines kung saan kami much needed Tapos may tourism, later
May
on.
tourism component siya. Yeah.
Lang po yan sa mga Filipino, kundi sa mga ibang nationalities po.
Yeah.
Thereby giving them the opportunity to be able to visit, the Philippines, and then at the same time, to do some humanitarian work, for the
Tama yan. Actually, kausap mo nga sila Eric tsaka si Richmond. And what I would like for your group to do, even before you plan on this, and even before you travel to the Philippines, is to really get in touch with our tourism office. Kaya sila nandyan para tulungan kayo eh. Kontakan niyo yung ating trade office so that even when you visit to the Philippines, hindi lang service ang gagawin niyo. Meron din siyang tourism component. You don't just go there to work. You also go there to relax and enjoy. And I tell you, ang daming maganda sa Pilipinas, di ba? And if you have the Philippine Tourism Office and the Philippine Trade Office with you every step of the way, they can point to you the best places to visit. They can provide you support. Kaya mahalaga yung inyong formal na engagement with these offices. Marami nang gumagawa niyan. Going to medical tourism at the end of your service, for example, in one place in the Philippines, then you ask all the members who participated in that group to go out and explore the Philippines. And then kung meron kayong mga kausap na Philippine Tourism Agency, Philippine Tourism Office, then they can assist you, connect you with the local government units. Para pagdating nyo sa mga LGUs, sasaluhin naman kayo doon, so you'll be properly guided, you'll be properly assisted. If there's anything that you need from the local government units, it'll be provided kasi meron kayong prior coordination. So ang aking request for upcoming missions like what you're planning for Lions, please get in touch with the Philippine Tourism Office and with the Philippine Trade Office. We were just talking to a group 2 days ago. I'll not mention the name, but this group is producing a beauty pageant year in and year out in Los Angeles. Natigil lang because of the pandemic. But now they're resuming this beauty pageant. And they told me na yung mga nanalo ng beauty pageant na yan, they bring the winners to the Philippines, to the tourism areas, para pagbalik nila sa LA, they'll talk about these tourism areas to their friends, families, and contacts, promoting Philippine tourism sites in effect. So ganun din ang gawin nyo. Before you go to the Philippines, you visit us in LA or you contact the tourism office or the trade office, you ask them what kind of support can you give us? Can you connect us with the LGU? Can you connect us with your tourism office in this particular region? Can you give us support? Things like that.
It's
To make your visit even more meaningful.
Totoo yun.
Yeah.
Salamat po.
Thank you, Ethel.
Maraming salamat po, Conjen, sa magandang yung sagot. At meron pong mga nagtatanong, total, nandun tayo sa usapang papuntang Pilipinas. May nagtanong po, isa sa mga committee ng Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika, is visa required to travel to the Philippines for USA citizen?
Well, ngayon kasi unahin natin, alam natin may pandemic, di ba? And because of the pandemic, may restriction sa pagpasok sa Pilipinas. Yung restriction na yan, hindi pa rin pwedeng pumasok ang mga foreigners sa Pilipinas. Ang mga pwedeng pumasok sa ngayon ay mga Filipino citizens, mga diplomats, yung mga may long-term visa na hinahawakan papasok ng Pilipinas, yung mga balikbayan who will not need a visa to enter the Philippines. Yung mga former Filipino citizens can apply for dual citizenship. Yung mga dual citizens, no? If they have already applied for dual citizenship, they can enter the Philippines. They don't need a visa. Okay? They don't need a visa. Now, assuming that you have not yet applied for dual citizenship, ikaw ay Filipino, US citizen pa rin. Okay? Former Filipino citizen, but you have now become a US citizen. You can always go back to the Philippines as a balikbayan. You don't need a visa to do that. As a balikbayan, you can stay in the Philippines for a period of 1 year, but that's extendable for a few months. Okay? You don't need a visa because you are a balikbayan. And as a balikbayan, what do you need to do kung wala ka pa ring dual citizenship? You present either your old Philippine passport or your Philippine birth certificate to prove that you are really a former Filipino citizen. So in answer to your question, yung visa requirement, totoo ba nire-require? Hindi ho. Unang-una, meron pa rin tayong restriction. Okay? Pangalawa, kung ikaw ay former Filipino citizen na hindi pa naka-acquire ng dual citizenship, you can always go back to the Philippines as a balikbayan.
Thank you so much for that answer, Conjen. Napakarami pong magtatanong sa inyo at maraming pa kaming itatanong. Pero dahil po dito ay magko-commercial muna po tayo dahil gusto naming ipadama sa ating mga kababayan ang saya nung kayo ay nandito pa sa Arizona. At this time, Javier, I wanted to have the Conjen see the video that when he came to Arizona. And we'll be back right after this. No. Alright, magandang umaga po sa inyo mga kababayan. Nakita ninyo kung gaano ang feeling namin nung kasama namin ang ating Conjen dito sa Arizona. At sana ay na-feel ninyo rin. At nakita namin doon ang galing ng boses ng ating Conjen, di ba Sharon? Actually, si Sharon...
The humor and all that.
Yeah, si Sharon ang
nice.
nag-request that time. Conjen, can you sing? I was so in a hurry to take the video. Akala ko, ilalive ko sana yung video niya. Nako, napakabilis ng kanta ni Conjen. Kaya kami nagtawanan after kasi yung kanyang kinanta ay talagang iintayin nyo ang pagdating ng Conjen. Ang pagbabalik ng Conjen. So, Conjen, nagustuhan po ba ninyo yung inyong short clip na yon?
Yeah. Maganda yan.
Yeah?
Maganda. I like it. Thank you very much.
Salamat po. At thanks to the President of PACCA, Prince Edward Lago, and also the invitation of Ate Ethel and invitation of Sharon that time nakasama ako sa inyong dinner. And even my daughter Hannah was so impressed with that dinner and enjoyed as well. So isa pong marami pong tanong uli. So ngayon naman, si Sharon naman po uli ang magtatanong sa inyo, Conjen.
Sure, yeah.
Actually, this question is sent by Kuya Leonardo Arumin of Filipino-American Journal. He's supposed to be here, no? But due to family vacation, he couldn't join us.
Yes.
So here's the question
Thank
po.
you, Sharon.
What are some ways where members of the Filipino community can contribute to the progress of our lupang tinubuan, the Philippines, and likewise this great country, USA?
Yeah. Well, actually, napakadami yun ang ginagawa to help not just the Philippines but also the United States. Yung pagtulong nyo sa Pilipinas, I cannot actually count the ways. There's just too many. But if you want me to really enumerate some, I could cite, of course, so many medical missions that you're doing for so many beneficiaries in the Philippines. I could also include the scholarship programs that you're giving for poor but deserving students in the Philippines. I could also talk about just visiting your respective provinces year in and year out, because every time you go home, you're actually contributing to Philippine economy. And yung mga project din, yung mga projects ng Lions Club na ginagawa nila Ethel, nakakatulong din yan. And also, I could cite the most recent example of an assistance that you made for the Philippines is that remember that we were having difficulties getting enough supply of vaccines for COVID-19, and we appealed to the U.S. administration to finally allow the export of U.S. manufactured vaccines to the Philippines. At ang ginawa namin ay we appealed to Filipino-American communities all over the United States to help us in convincing the U.S. administration. Kaya ang ginawa ng mga Filipino communities, Filipino-Americans, is that they wrote to their state, federal, and federal leaders to in turn write to the U.S. administration to allow the export of U.S. manufactured vaccines to the Philippines. And finally, in May, I think, we finally received the first batch of vaccines coming from the United States. Malaking tulong ho yun na nagawa nyo. As to how you can contribute to the progress of your second home, your new home, the United States of America, your mere presence here as very productive members of American society is already a very big contribution. Kayo mismo, you can attest to that. What are you doing here? You're not just here enjoying life in America. You're here working, right? And you are very productive in your respective capacities. Si Ria is a registered nurse. Si Ethel is a realtor. Si Prince Edward is also into his own line of business. Si Sarah ganon din. So everything that you do is actually contributing to the U.S. economy. And they should be thankful for that. Iko-connect ko ito sa ating tinatawag na Asian hate crimes. The rising incidence of hate crimes. Sa aking paningin, yung hate crimes na yan springs from a lack of understanding of who we are as a people. It springs also from a lack of appreciation of what you have done to American society. Filipino-Americans, Filipinos have been in America for so long, for hundreds of years, and you have been contributing to the economic development of this great country. They should realize that. Diba? You're not here begging. You're not here asking for assistance all the time. Mm-hmm. You are working every day. You are contributing to the U.S. economy, and they should realize that. They should actually be thankful that you're helping the U.S. economy. Instead of hating us, they should love us.
Tama po. At lalong-lalo na po ang ating pagkain.
Yes. Diba?
Sanay na po ang mga Amerikano sa adobo, lumpia, at saka pansit.
Yeah,
Number
we are
one yan.
contributing to the economic development and the socio-cultural diversity of this great country. And they should be thankful for that. Diba?
Yes. And maipakilala ko din po si Sharon. Actually, we're talking about tourism earlier. Si Sharon Jane Baysan po ang producer ng Baysan Production, CEO. She actually brings the best talents from Philippines and bring those
The talent singers
Yes.
from the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one way of helping the Philippine economy, diba? Every time you bring in these talents from the Philippines, you're actually helping their own families in the Philippines, diba? And nandyan yung tinatawag na multiplier effect. When they go back to the Philippines with their hard-earned dollars, they spend in the Philippines, and then it energizes local economy. Right?
Tama po.
Akala ko kanina si Miss Sharon ay beauty queen.
Yeah, diba?
I wish.
Can be.
Actually, former beauty queen, right?
Naku po, hindi naman. Actually, I'd like to say, it's really nice that we have support
Yeah.
from our
Congen.
organizations here, and of course with Congen and everyone trying to help one another. That's the best feeling that you can ever get in helping out our Filipinos.
Yeah, I always say that for us Filipinos, it's very easy to support and help each other. And you know why? Because of the bayanihan spirit.
Correct.
Diba? Napakadali eh. Unlike other cultures, of course, we're not saying that they're not as good as our culture. They're good as well. But sa atin, we have that unique trait that we call bayanihan spirit. And because of that, it makes it very easy for Filipinos, wherever they are, and regardless of their socioeconomic backgrounds, to really work together for a common good, for a common goal.
Tama po. At,
Right.
yung bayanihan spirit po ang hindi natin dapat iwala.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. At Ate Ethel, meron kang question na
Isa yun sa mga online also na yung application for dual citizenship. At paano po kung wala na yung Philippine passport tapos yung birth certificate po?
Yan ang medyo sensitive na area because as a former Filipino citizen who have acquired US citizenship, tama ka, we really require primarily these two documents, the Philippine passport and the Philippine birth certificate. If you cannot produce both documents already, what we do is we ask you to produce any document that you can submit to us just to prove that you were once a Filipino citizen. Yung iyong mga licenses in the Philippines that can only be issued to Filipino citizens, yung iyong mga school records, yung inyong mga baptismal certificate, yung mga election records ninyo sa Pilipinas, everything that you can produce, then we will assess the documents that you'll submit to us. Okay? It's not as easy. Yeah.
Conjen, meron po bang online resources na one can actually submit a request tapos pay yung corresponding
fee?
fees and then somebody actually does the legwork in the Philippines?
You know what we do, Ethel, is wala tayong online na platform pa for that. But what we do is when there's an applicant for dual citizenship, we request that person to send an email to us along with scanned or photocopies of his or her supporting documents so that we can already pre-assess, review these documents, whether or not they are sufficient. So that that person, hindi siya mapapagod pumunta sa consulate. Sasabihin na namin sa aming reply, na-review namin yung mga dokumento, sufficient na, then you can come on this particular day. Or sabihin ng aking mga kasama sa consulate, medyo kulang, try to produce some more. That's what we do.
and maganda yung tanong mo, Ate Ethel. May tanong ka pa ba, Ate Ethel?
Isang question pa.
Sure.
Conjen, yung mga nag-apply for dual citizenship na they're saying that it's hard to get an appointment. We just want to make sure that they will be able to be helped when you come to
Arizona.
next time again. So we just coordinate with your office about those names. Just
Yes, yeah. Please do coordinate with one of my officers so that before we go to Arizona, meron tayong prior coordination as to the number of applicants for dual citizenship, for example, for passport application. And we also have a way of already pre-checking the requirements that these people are submitting so that when we go, all we need to do is to process their application.
Thank you so much po, Conjen, for that. And I think Ms. Jos Liano has actually sent us some of the services the consulate are giving. So, Javier, would you mind if you can plug and flash it anytime? Yes, yan po. As we are talking, this will be flashed. So another question po coming from Prince Edward.
Yes, actually, Conjen, we have a question from the comment section of Facebook Live Buhay sa Amerika. It's asking here, are U.S. citizens allowed to invest on or purchase properties in the Philippines?
Okay, magandang tanong yan. Maganda. Okay, number one, general rule, foreigners, including former Filipino citizens who have not yet applied for dual citizenship. Kasi foreigners sila in the eyes of Philippine law. If you're only holding a U.S. passport, foreigners cannot buy lands in the Philippines, but they can invest in condominium properties. Okay? So that's the main rule. So if you are a Filipino citizen who have already acquired U.S. citizenship here and would like again to buy land, yung lupa sa Pilipinas, kailangan mag-reacquire ka ng iyong Filipino citizenship para magawa mo yon. Kung ang bibili mo lang naman ay condominium sa SMDC, for example, pwede. Even if you are a foreign national, pwede yon. Ngayon, iba yung mga minana mong mga properties. Okay? If you inherited, for example, properties from your parents, kunyari si Prince Edward. Where are you from, Edward?
From Cebu.
Cebu. Halimbawa, may minana si Edward sa Cebu na 10 hectares of agricultural land.
Lucky.
Planted to coconut trees. No? Nung naging Amerikano si Edward, hindi yun mawawala sa kanya. Okay? Because he inherited it. So by law, that property is his. Okay? Even if he becomes an American citizen. But if Edward wants to buy 10 more hectares of agricultural lot adjacent to his inherited property, kailangan niya maging Pilipino. Okay?
Thank you,
Can I just reply to one of the online questions nakita ko kanina? Kailan daw pwedeng umuwi mga Pilipino doon sa atin na wala ng quarantine? Yung sagot diyan sa tanong niyo ay manggagaling ko kasi sa tinatawag natin na Interagency on Task Force Against COVID-19. Ang ating patakaran ngayon, kapag kayo ay uwi, merong 14-day quarantine period. Okay, 14 days quarantine. On the 7th day, regardless of your vaccination status, so if you're coming from America, na kayo ay na-vaccinate na dito, it doesn't matter. Pagdating nyo sa Pilipinas, kayo ay magka-quarantine pa rin for 14 days. On the 7th day of your quarantine, you will be given a swab test. Okay? Halimbawa, negative yung result ng swab test. You will not still be allowed to go out of the quarantine facility. You will complete the remaining 3-day period or a 10-day period in the quarantine facility. And on the 11th day, that's the only time that you will be allowed to go home to spend the remaining 4 days for home quarantine. So, yung tanong kailan kami makakawin na wala ng quarantine, only the Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 can answer that. Kami ho sa Consulate, we are not the policy-making body. We just implement whatever directive is being given to us by the task force, which is in Manila. So if the task force decides tomorrow, for example, that starting on August 1st, halimbawa lang, August 1st, pwede nang umuwi ang mga Pilipino at wala ng quarantine, then that's the time that you can only go home without quarantine. But as of today, ang ating policy ho ay meron pa ring quarantine for 14 days.
Okay. We have another online question po rito. This is from Nell Ringelhan. The question is, why is it difficult to get an appointment? I guess she's been trying to, according to this message here, she's been trying to get 3 months na daw po na appointment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, she's not alone. Marami ho tayong mga kababayan na talagang nahihirapan sa ating pagkuha ng appointment. And I have to tell you na hindi ho natin yon sinasadya. Ganito ho kasi yun, because of the pandemic, which until now, and the restrictions until now, we are still trying to implement them at the Philippine Consulate General Office in Wilshire. Limited ho ang pwedeng ma-accommodate sa ating opisina. We are now accommodating only 96 applicants at any given per day for passport applications, and also a limited number of applicants per day for dual citizenship applications. Yun hong slots nire-release namin, halos may timing yan, and we are not the ones releasing the slots. It's Manila that releases it. Wala ho pa kaming control sa pag-release sa appointment slots na yan, which is limited, unfortunately. Why do we have to control the number of slots that we can release? Dahil ho, limited ang space natin sa Philippine Consulate General Office. We're still trying to implement some health protocols. Dahil hindi pa din naman tayo talagang nakakalabas sa COVID-19 na pandemic. Hindi pwede nating biglang papasukin na lang lahat sa opisina. Sige, labo-labo na tayo dyan. Wala nang social distancing, delikado ho yun. Okay? Let me ask you, Ria, your house,
Yes
ilan
po.
ang allowed na maximum capacity ng bahay mo?
Sa ngayon po, yun lang po mga tao sa bahay ko ang
Like ilan yan?
nakakapasok.
Ilan? Mga
Ah,
5?
Right now po, 5 po kami. Kaya,
Okay. So halimbawa, 5 lang. Halimbawa, si Ria ngayon nag-decide that tomorrow I will allow 100 people to come to my house. Baka pag ginawa mo yon, pupunta ka na ng fire marshal, hindi ba? At isisitahin ka ng city officials, di ba? For exceeding the maximum capacity limitation of your house. Ganon din ho ang ating konsulado. Think of the Philippine Consulate as our residents. And there's only a limited number that we can admit on any given day. Yung pagkuha ng appointment talaga hong medyo nahihirapan, but you really have to be patient, and we are asking for your patience. We're looking at ways and means to improve our services, including in the coming months, kung medyo gumanda pa ang situation, we'll probably increase the number of slots further, pero depende rin sa limited na capacity ng ating opisina. We will increase the number of our consular outreach programs. That is why we're returning to Arizona later this year. We're also going to San Diego. We're going to Las Vegas again. And we have also allowed walk-in applicants para lang madagdagan yung mga pwedeng maserbisyohan. But for the walk-in applicants, ito ho ay para lamang sa mga elderly, sa mga physically disabled, at sa mga visibly pregnant women. Hindi ho lahat. At kahit yung mga walk-in, may limit pa rin ho. Kasi hindi pwedeng sobra-sobra ang pwedeng pumasok sa ating konsulado. In the first place, we are only renting the consulate in one space in a big building on Wilshire Boulevard. We are just a tenant. We don't own the property. Kung sana parang yung ating konsulado sa Jeddah where I come from, it's a very big property. Then I can admit as many Filipinos as I want to. But it's not the situation here. We are renting a very limited space that can only accommodate a very few number of people per day. Yun hong ating reality dito.
maraming salamat po sa answer ninyo, Conjen. And
Then may I also
Yes.
say something in addition, Ria, ito rin ang aking masasabi siguro. When some of our fellow Filipinos apply for a service with the Philippine Consulate and they couldn't get a slot dahil nga limited ang slots natin, then they come up with so many criticisms. Some even accuse us of corruption, etc., etc. And some even say, oh, napaka-inefficient ng ating Philippine Consulate, etc., etc. Now let me ask you, when you were in the Philippines and applying for a U.S. visa at the U.S. Embassy in Manila, and you were not able to get an appointment immediately, today, if you apply with the U.S. Embassy in Manila for a U.S. visa, you will be given an appointment next year na kasi puno ng kanilang slot. Kinancel nila lahat for 2021 because of COVID-19. As an applicant, when you were applying with the U.S. Embassy, did you even think of accusing the U.S. Embassy of incompetence, of corruption? Hindi. You were patient to wait. Diba? You were very patient. You didn't say anything. Right?
maraming
That's
But
a very
now
good
you're
point,
applying at your
yes.
own Philippine consulate. The Philippine consulate that must implement all these safety protocols for your own safety. Now you turn back and say, oh, your consulate is so incompetent, so corrupt and everything. Bakit ganon, mga kababayan, di ba?
Yeah.
yes.
Why?
Marami-
Why do we behave like that? Why is it that when you are before a U.S. government official and they tell you to line up and wait for your turn, you wait and don't complain at all? Why is it that when you appear before your own Philippine government official and your own official asks you to wait because of limited space, you complain and you accuse that official of incompetence? Why do you do that?
Well, hindi po naman I think sana hindi po nagko-complain ngayon.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we've received some complaints, and I'm just echoing what I've been hearing.
Yes.
And because we are addressing a wide viewership of your program,
Yes.
and that is why I wanted to also know what are we feeling and what are we thinking at the Philippine Consulate.
Totoo
What I'm
po.
saying is we have to work together.
Yes,
We have to
exactly.
cooperate. Okay?
I actually have Miss Joss sent me a video of the Philippine Consulate services. So I think this is the time we actually should share to our viewers what are the services of the Philippine Consulate in Los Angeles. So Javier, would you mind playing that video?
The Philippine Consulate General in Los Angeles, California was established in 1947. In line with the one country theme approach, it works in tandem with the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. and the attached agencies, namely Philippine Overseas Labor Office, Philippine Trade and Investment Center, Philippine Department of Tourism, Office of the Police Attaché Liaison Office in the U.S. West Coast, and Office of Social Security System in implementing Philippine foreign policy and fostering closer relations with the ever-growing Filipino-American community. The Consulate General in Los Angeles exercises consular jurisdiction over Southern California, Southern Nevada, and state of Arizona. Texas and New Mexico used to be under LAPCG, but these were transferred to the Philippine Consulate General in Houston when the latter opened in September 2018. As the home to an estimated 1.3 million Filipinos in the southwest region of the United States of America, the Consulate General in Los Angeles offers a wide range of consular services, including assistance to distressed Filipinos, passport issuance, approval of petitions for dual citizenship, visa issuance, civil registration, notarials, and other legal services. Alongside with its basic functions, the Consulate General engages in political diplomacy, economic diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, and public diplomacy. It also involves the Filipino and Filipino-American community under its consular jurisdiction in nation building.
Nakita ninyo kung ano ang mga services at ano ang ating Consul General location sa Los Angeles. Ate Ethel, meron kang tanong?
May tanong ako. Kasi Conjen, yung sa sinasabi niyo po na yung minsan po nagko-complain tayo, incompetence and everything. So, I think yung video that was just shown, maganda po yun kasi maganda yung regular PSA coming from the consulate na pwede naming ipalabas dito sa Phoenix area, right? Para ma-understand po nila yung kahalagahan ng mga ginagawa niyo po. Kasi minsan yung lack of regular dialogue, yun po ang minsan nagko-contribute sa misunderstanding between sa ating mga Filipino tapos yung mga ginagawa po sa ano. So I really like that regular PSA that we can actually be showing sa Phoenix area po, plus yung once every 3 months na Buhay sa Amerika episode, because I think a lot of people are really gonna be appreciative of that.
Thank you, Ate Ethel. Conjen is about to say. Oh, wala pong sound. Walang sound?
Okay. Let me just add to what Ethel said and to what was shown in the video, if I may. Okay, alam niyo po ang ating konsulado sa Los Angeles covers, as mentioned, the video covers the Southern California, Southern Nevada, and the state of Arizona. Although we are only covering these 3 areas, the total number of Filipinos combined in these 3 areas is 1.3 million Filipino and Filipino Americans. And how many personnel do we have, the Philippine Consulate General in Los Angeles? We have less than 40. So you could imagine the ratio of one Philippine consular representative serving maybe 30 to 50,000 Filipinos. Ganun ang ratio di ba? What is the ratio, the ideal ratio of a student teacher? para maganda talagang instruction. Siguro 1:10. Ganun lang
Yes.
dapat, di ba? In our case, you're talking of a ratio of 1 Philippine consulate official versus 30,000 to 50,000 Filipinos who all want to be served at the same time, I think, sometimes. Di ba? Kaya napakahirap. Now, siguro ang sagot ng mga ibang kababayan natin dyan is that, kung ganun ho pala, nakukonti kayo, ba't di kayo mag-hire ng maraming tao? Why don't you hire 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 Philippine consulate officials para mas servisan nyo lahat ng mga Pilipino dito sa Los Angeles? That's a very simplistic answer, and it's hindi niya alam yung totoong nangyayari behind the scenes. And what do I mean by that? Yun hong bilang ng ating personnel dito sa Philippine Consulate can only be up to so many, like less than 30, because yan lang ho ang ina-allow ng US government. Because it's on the basis of reciprocity. Okay? Kung ilan ang bilang ng tao nila sa US Embassy at Consulate sa Manila, yun din dapat ang bilang ng mga official dito sa Philippine Consulate sa Los Angeles. So we call that reciprocity. So anytime na magde-deploy tayo ng tao dito sa Amerika, coming from DFA, we have to seek the permission of the US government and ask them, is it okay to deploy 1 more, 2 more, 3 more to the Philippine Consulate? At sasabihin ng US government, okay, pwede pa. Pwede ka pang mag-deploy kasi hindi pa gaano kadami. But maybe when we tell them, can we deploy 20, 30? Then the US government will say, oh, that's too many already. Hindi pwede. Because we are following the principle of reciprocity. Please, you have to understand that. You cannot just say, ba't di kayo mag-hire ng 20, ng 30, ng 15? Hindi ho ganun kasimple. Okay? Hindi ganun kasimple. And of course, may budget consideration din. It's not like, mag-hire ako ng 50, ito yung budget ko pambayad sa kanyang sweldo. Papuntay mo na yan. It's not like that. Yung budget ho ng ating Philippine ng DFA, pinaplano yan a year before, naka-budget na lahat yan. Kung ilan ang pwedeng i-deploy na tao dito yan. Okay? So if the DFA says we'll add 5 more personnel at the Philippine Consul General Los Angeles, kailangan ho may budget yan. Ilalagay sa annual budget ng DFA, aproban ng Congress, pipirma ng Presidente. That's the only time that we can hire 5 more people. It's not so easy.
Talaga nga po. At by the way, Conjen, sinabi po ni Ate Ethel, I think this would be an opportunity for Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika na para mas ma-reach ninyo po itong 1.3 million Filipinos in the West Coast alone. We invite you to come again and maybe bring the staff on our next segments para po mas maraming makilala nila ang mga staff na tumutulong sa inyo na maka-reach out to the 1.3 million Filipinos. And of course, ay gusto ko lang pong mag-shout out sa kay PNP Chief Attaché, Colonel Roland Bilela, na naging katabi ko during the time na magkasama pumunta kayo last time. So, to our PNP Chief at Police Attaché, magandang paki-extend po sa kanya ang aming greetings ni Hannah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Which is, may tanong po si Hannah, Conjen. Si Prince Edward po ang magtatanong.
Before the question, Conjen, thank you so much for sharing yung I think this is a good way of clarifying and understanding all of your efforts that your office is doing para maintindihan na mga kababayan natin of what's going on.
Yes.
Here's the question from Hannah Faith. Question for the Consul General. What is your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is meeting fellow Filipinos under my consular jurisdiction. Because that's when I am able to really mingle with fellow Filipinos who have been abroad for so long a time already. And that's when I get to listen to them on their insights and views as to how we can further improve our services. And also how we can further tap the overseas Filipino for nation building. And of course, doon ako nakaka-relax, nakakakanta, nakakakain. So masaya. I like meeting people. And
That's
I
nice.
really appreciate the warm hospitality that you extended to me and my team nung nandiyan kami sa Arizona. Maraming salamat.
And we loved having
Si
you.
Hannah Faith po yung kumanta sa inyo, Conjen, ng May
Oh,
Sikreto
yeah.
Ako.
Wow, ang galing, galing.
It's Ria's
galing.
daughter.
Ria's daughter, yes.
Oh, yeah. She's very good. She's very good.
At napakanta din akong bigla ng Maliwanag na Buwan. In fact po, si Conjen sana ay pakakantahin namin. Pero dahil nasa Zoom siya, there will be lag ng
Yeah.
time. So,
Di bale.
Conjen, ini-invite po namin kayo, kagaya po ng sinabi ni Ate Ethel Luzario, na we would love that when you come back to Arizona, we will have you on our
He will
live
sing
broadcast.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what, Ria may just say,
Yes
add
po.
something to what you just said. Ang isang program ko ngayon, which I already started talking about in my dialogues with Filipino communities here, we are willing to go out of Los Angeles and outside of the regular consular outreach program to conduct dialogues,
Yes.
town hall meetings with groups like you. And yung town hall meeting na yan, pwede naming lagyan ng consular service at the same time. So for example, dito sa Los Angeles, we are already talking to one community which is 2 hours away from Los Angeles, from where we are. And they're planning to hold a town hall meeting wherein my team will go with service, meaning magpapapassport din ng consular service. Hindi ito yung regular na consular outreach program because ni-schedule talaga natin yan, di ba? So I'm encouraging big Filipino-American community organizations. If you want, you can invite us. I will go. We can have a dialogue, a town hall meeting, just like what we're doing now. We can explain the programs and services of the Philippine Consulate. You can ask us questions about what we do. And at the same time, while the dialogue is ongoing, merong ongoing na consular service at the site of that town hall meeting. Gawin natin yan all year round.
Yes po.
Okay.
And nagbibigay na po ng message ang aking producer dito na we only have 3 minutes. So we will wrap up the
Ang
show.
bilis.
We really enjoyed having you, Conjen, at siya and Prince Edward and Ate Ethel. This is a time to say a few words to the Conjen and as we are wrapping up. Do you have anything to say, Sha?
It's actually really nice to get these relevant
Yeah.
information here, no? Coming from our Congen. As we all know, there's really a lot to consider. So I guess all we need to do is just one by one help each other out
Yes.
and make peace with everyone.
That's right. And President Edward,
Yeah, thank you so much, Ria, for having us here today. Of course, thank you so much, Conjen Ed, for joining us in the show. And of course, we are expecting to have the office of the Philippine Consulate Los Angeles coming back here again in a couple of months. And I think we are also discussing the options of having this town hall meeting. That way, we can hear more from Conjen Ed's office.
yes.
That'd be nice.
So, Ate Ethel, you have anything to say to Conjen?
No, I'm so looking forward to the upcoming consular outreach and then, of course, the town hall meeting. So we're going to be putting that together.
Yes.
All right. So, Conjen, we have 1 minute for you.
Okay,
For your last word?
Yeah, okay. So maraming salamat, Ria, Sarah, Prince Edward,
Sharon.
and Ethel, and to Buhay, Amerika for having me in your program. This is really a very important program because we're able to reach out to so many of our kababayans, not just in Arizona, but I think all over America. Dahil ang laki ng reach mo. And this is the way really for us to have a dialogue para mapaliwanagan natin ang ating mga kababayan on what are the things that we are doing, what are our limitations, so that even before you ask questions, now that you've listened to me in person, now that I explained to you what are our limitations as your Philippine Consulate, before you even ask questions, wag na. Kasi ito pala talagang pangyayari, di ba? And my final word to our fellow Filipinos is that, let us always, whenever we go out of our houses here in America, let us always be in our best behavior. Because although we are the officially appointed representatives of the Philippine government here, kayo ho mismo, mga kababayan natin, you are our walking ambassadors. You represent the Filipino culture in anything and everything that you do in the workplace, in the restaurants, in the park. Nakikita nila kayo, and whatever you do, whatever you say, they will judge us.
Nicely
Maraming
said.
salamat po, Conjen, for
Thank
your
you.
coming, and we invite you again. And for all our viewers, please continue to send your comments or questions later on when we get the Conjen back, as well as please like and subscribe to Buhay Buhay sa Amerika and share this information so many more can be reached. And maraming salamat po, Conjen. From here in Entre Mujeres Radio, maraming salamat po and mabuhay!
Buhay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This was Buhay Buhay sa Amerika. Join us again next time at entremujeresradio.net. Hanggang sa muli, mabuhay!